Be a person to transmit positive energy everywhere. Transmitting positive energy is whether it's smiling, whether it's talking to people nicely. Because when you do that, you trigger something in people that are around you. I remember I was leaving Liberia in 1990. I turned around and looked back at my house. I opened the bedroom. I only took an album and what you call a little music box. And as I turned around and had to go, I held back tears. And I knew life for us and me in particular would never be the same.
In terms of uniting Africans in Minnesota, how can Africans unite in Minnesota? We have people from all over Africa here in this state.
We are very individualistic. But if we collectively put the African cause above all of us, we will individually benefit. But if we put the individual cause before us, we will collectively fail.
That's wrong. Welcome to AfriSota, the hub of African voices in Minnesota. Today we bring you a story of resilience, leadership, and community. Stay tuned, stay engaged as we sit with the Executive Director of the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota, OLM, a figure whose journey is a testament to the strength and determination that lies within us all. From the vibrant landscape of Liberia to the bustling communities of Minnesota, our guest's journey is not just one of geographical distance, but of overcoming adversity, embracing new challenges, and ultimately leading a pivotal organization that serves as a beacon of hope and support for many in Minnesota. Under his leadership, the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota, OLM, has become instrumental in uplifting not just Liberians and other African immigrants in our community, but all Minnesotans, providing essential services, cultural programs, and a sense of belonging to those far from home. Today, he shares with us not only his inspiring journey from Liberia to the helm of OLM, but also his visions, motivations, and the impact of OLM in Minnesota. So without further ado, let's dive into our conversation with the Executive Director of the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota, a leader, a visionary, and most importantly, a member of our shared community. Quickly, I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience. And it's a tradition for AfriSota. We want you to tell our audience your specific village where you come from in Africa. So I'll let you carry it on. So let us know. Just introduce yourself to us. Tell us where you come from.
Thank you very much. I'm not great. I'm just a humble guy. But I'm very glad to be on your platform today. And we all have our own very unique stories. And I am a Liberian. Was born in Liberia, and I was made to understand that my ancestors from La Côte d'Ivoire, the bordering country, to Liberia. I am I'm unique like any other African, but I'm very humble. I came from a very humble background. My parents are both my dad and Mr. Samson Dhian, my mother, Janine Dix. She's in Liberia. Liberia is divided into at least 15 subdivision referred to as county, sub-political division called county. And I am from one of those. I was born in Montserrat County, though. But I here from Grand County, where my father's from. My mother is from Riverside, and that's another county.
Please, if you don't mind, walk us through your childhood in Liberia.
My childhood in Liberia started from Monrovia, going to school like anybody else. And we had normal childhood like many others, until we found ourselves in a situation that some of us had never envisaged, the Civil War. It brought some untold suffering, tarnished, and destroyed so many lives and property. It was so shocking. The Liberia we knew and the childhood we had, friends and family, changed forever. But the first introduction to that, the prelude to that, was when we woke up the morning of April 1980. We saw the change in Liberia. The first coup of Liberia, military coup. And to Liberia, it was staged. And we have to adapt to that life. And on both sides of the eyes, the indigenous, we said that was a good thing to save the many that was assumed denied the resources and that did not have the level playing field. They felt that was disproportionately distributed the wealth and opportunity, shared them. And on the other side, others feel that it was a whole change for their life and things didn't seem to be anyway. But because we come from a very small society with intermarriages, interrelation, what affects one side affects the other side. And as for people that were able to have linkage with the both sides, either way, felt the impact. That was the prelude for our generation. And until 1990, the civil crisis, when we saw the war, the civil war that claimed the lives of ran around 200 to 250,000 lives, destroyed property. That, in essence, was another shock. It impacted the lives of so many. Up to this time, there are many that have not recovered. But that sense of normality for some just flew away. And then we have to adapt again to another challenge of life, a new beginning. And many brave that environment. Some left, and some of us had to leave. I remember I was leaving Liberian in 1990. I turned around and looked back at my house. I opened the bedroom. I only took an album and what you call a little music box. And as I turned around and had to go, I held back tears. And I knew life for us and me in particular would never be the same. But part of life is constant adaptation. Every living thing has to adapt to its environment to survive. That is the tenets of life. If you can adapt, your chances of survival becomes even more challenging. So we left and went to neighboring countries, intend to come to the great US. And that didn't work. And then we found ourselves in a neighboring country that we have to adapt to the way of life, chart new course, make new friends, make the best of the situation you find yourselves in. And tough times do not last, but tough people last. And when I reflect back when I was in high school back in Liberia, there was a quotation that says that if you can run, walk. If you can walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving
And forward.
and forward. And so, but along the way, where we get to adapt ourselves in new environment, new challenges, new way of life. You know, I try to self-motivate. And self-motivation is, there is a thing that has to do with positive and negative energy. You can propel negative energy that suck the air of the room and people around you. If you can transmit positive energy that bring light in the room and give people. So some of the essence of self-motivation is to, within your own self, life, cheer up a situation, even as hopeless as it is. You still have to keep pushing. So we find ourselves in Conakry, Guinea, the French-speaking country.
That's how you speak good French like that?
Yeah. So how do you integrate into that society? You have to be one of the residents. In the process of integration, you have to adapt, learn new things, establish new friends. But yet you still got the eye out of the ball. And then for me, I thought it was a passage in vacation because I had just got approved from the Northeastern University in Washington, D.C., hoping that I was going to be traveling. And I got shocked when I went to the embassy. I got denied. I lose all hope.
Wow. You got denied the visa to go?
The visa to come to the States.
Wow.
And then my dad has already left. I was there with a few of my siblings. But I mustered the courage and hope and felt that, you know what? This is left for me. And I've thought I stood for the why in front of the embassy. And I could not process that shock that I'm in a strange land. There's no more father around. There's no mother. It just brothers and myself. But I summoned the courage to say, you know what? Well, there is life. There is hope. If I survive the war in Liberia and I didn't get killed, I think being in another land, what you can breathe free in and walk about freely is better. So after internalizing what I was experiencing, I summoned the courage and put a smile on my face. And I started to walk and walking. When I got home, everybody was happy. Okay, we're about to leave, about to travel. I said, no, I was not successful. They said, oh, man, you're kidding. If you're not successful, why are you smiling? I said, well, I just say just another thing. And my family around, brothers, they felt more of the pain that I should feel. But because I had internalized that and some of the courage, and I started to think on my next plan. My next plan is to adapt to my environment because life is what it has to be.
Yeah.
It's like I said, part of life process is adapting to your environment. If you can't, things will be difficult for you. Some of my brothers coding, so I spent all day out with friends. And then we were there and things were getting very tough. And then our RC school system, they call the International Rescue Committee. So we had just, I was at the University of Liberia, and then they have what you call political refugees in Conakry, Guinea. Um, so it's a French-speaking country, and they have lots of Liberians. Young people needed to go to school. So we established a quasi school system. So at least some of us that were college students and some that have already graduated from college was giving the young people an opportunity to have some form of education. And then that happened for a while, and the RSC school system came in and decided to take it over from us.
So while you were there as a group of Liberians, it's just amongst yourselves that you decided to start some form of a school system.
That's correct.
Wow. And this was not, you were not working with any organization, any institution?
Not at all at the time. We were working with former government officials. We had kids and relatives there, and we did that. And some of whom now are alive today. So, but when that happened, we had to repeat to the UNRC system had a program in collaboration with International Rescue Committee to help refugee kids to go to school.
Yeah.
So we, college students and college graduates, then helped to facilitate the process until the RSC's school system came in. So they needed actually 12 teachers. So, but they have their own test tenders. So I was one of the volunteers, teachers, and very active with the students. And the director that came over, one Jeff, he's an American guy. And the RSC school system, the International Rescue Committee, is based in, I think, New York. So he admired the way I was doing things and my passion. So I was then, I think, the registrar or so. But they have the standards. They brought a test. We were about 17 that took the test. And they needed 12. I was the 13th of the people that passed. I came to 13th place. So I had to go home because I did not make it. So then I was about to go, but then I stayed somewhere and started to smile. Then my cousin said, you guys have all been struggling and you put in a lot of work. And now they tell you to go. Why are you smiling? What's your problem? Why aren't you never serious?
So he takes you not being angry as if you are not taking the matter seriously.
Yes. So I say, look, life is such that, there will always be challenges and obstacles. If you can't make it today, life doesn't end. Maybe there is a lesson to be learned from that failing. Or maybe there could be another opportunity from that failing.
Positive thinking.
You see, if you don't look at things holistically, sometimes you might say things or make a decision that will affect you very soon. But because there are challenges in life, it's always not a smooth ride. You have to have some willpower to see the end of the road. You have to self-motivate. You have to sum up the courage. And I always take things personal. But one thing, put a smile on your face. So I went home. So the person that was the principal of the school then, of course I can't call the name, this person's dismissed, did not pass the test as well, failed. So they wanted to demote that person to an ordinary teacher. The person refused, they don't even want it. So then they have to promote the other person to be principal. So the opportunity was there They needed one more person. So I was home. Then the guy, the white guy, Jeff, he said, "What is Kamati?" They said, "He gone home." They said, "Can somebody go get him?" I was sitting home trying to find food to eat. And they said, "Oh, you gotta come. They need you. So I went to the school campus. Jeff said, "Hey, Kamati, do you want to be the register? Can you accept me being a register?" I said, "Sure, why not?" I became the registrar of the school. And all happened the same day. And I started to smile again. The reason is, such is life. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We live for today, but we can prepare for tomorrow. And I became the registrar of the school. After a while, we had acquired a new building. Things were going good. And it never occurred to me that I would get a visa to come to the United States. Because at the time, my father was already here. They had filed for all of us, his kids. But then we had stayed in Liberia, outside of the country in Guinea, so that list didn't go through. So most of my siblings, stepmother and everybody. So I have accepted life as is in Conakry. I've adapted to the environment, and I was just moving on. Then
And you had siblings to take care of.
yeah, I have siblings, but I was not. I just have one or two other siblings that I was older than. The rest older than me. So then I went to Sierra Leone to go to school, and I was there. There was a scholarship program by DAFI. It's a German-based organization that awarded scholarships to people. And then I took the test. We were about a couple of hundreds, but the shortlisting came in. Our 50% was shortlisted, and I was among the first 21 students.
So let me ask, how many years were you in Guinea Conakry?
Oh, I was in Guinea Conakry from 1990 to about 1997 or 8. Yes.
So about 7 years.
So, but in then, I went to Sierra Leone to go to the university and Metamagastic College. So, in order to be qualified, I have to live on the refugee camp as a refugee. And I still submitted myself to that. I did it. I took the test. I passed the test. I was on campus. So the first semester had ended. And normally, because we are DAFI students, the scholarship come automatic. So I went to the office. They called me and they said, "Well, the other DAFI students' tuition was being paid. There's a lady, a Sierra Leonean lady called Mommy Thomas. She will administer it. Every time I go on the money. At the final day, they told me, say, no money. So I have to leave the school. After I passed, got a scholarship and everything. I came back on the camp, the refugee camp. I put a smile on my face again. Normally, if you pass the test and you granted it, everybody in the village, in the little refugee camp will be happy and stuff like that. Because it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Not only do they pay your school fees, you get a stipend, and those stipend getting bottom. I smile. So a group of guys in the camp, we wrote a proposal to the UNHCR to, bring about recreation. But we targeted a day called Fly Day for the Liberian community, because we're predominantly Liberians in the refugee camp. In the refugee camp in Waterloo. So we did our project proposal. When we started that, people say it won't go anywhere. And then again, we were successful. So we built a bus stop, a basketball court, a volleyball court, because the other mind is the devil's workshop. And a lot of young people converge in a refugee camp, which used to be an old airstrip. So if you don't have any activity going in there, that is a pure recipe
Yeah.
for all the things I don't want to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then my colleagues then, they coined me the name called Dean. So people that knew me sincerely, they refer to me the Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I came back to Conakry and continued the school system.
Mm-hmm.
And until I got the visa and finally came to the United States. And when I was about to leave, I didn't want to leave again because at that time I have established friends. I like the place and stuff, but because America is a green path. But in the interim, there were some challenges that I have. And one of the challenge I have was it came from some group of guys that came to me and said, "My man, you speak French. You write French. We got the illicit deal. We want you to be part of. All you have to do, just pose as somebody." And just imagine, at a time when we were teaching at the school, we don't have money. I used to, if you've been in West Africa, the French bread called the foulard bread is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I used to cut that in pieces. I'll make sandwich, sardine, onions, and mayonnaise, and put it in and sell it to the students.
Wow.
That's how I could get transportation to go to school. But again, I didn't bother. What I always said, like, people in Liberia died.
Mm-hmm.
People lose their life. I got life. I can eat. What should I complain? So I never tried to measure up with people living luxury, because that would drive me to do things that I'm not supposed to do. But the basic tenets of life, just the mere fact that I survived, in spite of all that we lose, that life, I value it. And that was important to me.
Wow.
And so, when this gentleman came, and I could remember I was hungry that day. They took me to one of the best restaurants. And just imagine, you don't have the equivalent of $1 or $5. And those guys gave me 25,000 franc Guinean. At that time, it could be anything equivalent to about $50 or more. It took me about Mr. And when I came home in the little room that my friend and I shared on Smith Casual with umbrella to me, I started to reflect on the temptation and the challenge. I'm like, okay, this thing I can do it, and life will be okay for me. Then another side of me said, what, you don't succeed, you could end up in jail.
So this was more like impersonation.
Yes. So illicit jail. So I'm like, you know what? I just tussle within myself, and I sum up the courage again, as usual. When the guys came, I said, hey, I'm not gonna do it.
Wow.
I said, tough time doesn't last. Tough people last. If I survive Liberia, the war, the death, and I'm here, and I stay alive, there has to be a purpose for which God stay keeping alive.
Wow.
And I said, wow. Those guys win. They succeed in what they did. And they brought the sport of war to me. And in front of me, they started sharing. I just looked at them. It did not break my spirit. It did not shake me. Today, the last time I know one was staying in jail, the other 3 had died. But again, it's part of life. While in Sierra Leone, the war came. The Sierra Leone war, and we're on the refugee camp. People were trying to get away. I had to get on a canoe for free my friend. A canoe from Guinea, from Sierra Leone to Guinea. Just imagine. from one
You were
country.
with other people? Or
Yeah,
just...
other people were in it. It was just an easier means to transmit. At the time, I had contact with my dad here, but the means to getting him and transportation, it was illicit because somebody had come back for me. That risked their life to come back for me. And then when I finally got the money, I could not leave. And so I'm like, okay, if this person risked their life to come for me, I too would just go with it. And we did that. So what I'm saying to say that where there's life, there's always hope.
That's true.
And I came to the United States. And I sat down. I've had so many different kind of challenges, but I continue to stick to my principle, my momentum. I always self-motivate. No matter how bad I feel within me, I always put up a smile. My experience over the years, from the war to living in Guinea, Sierra Leone, and other African countries that I went through, has solidified my willpower, has given me a level of endurance, have made me to always try to look at the bright side of things and look at things holistically, and for too many other reasons. So here we are. When it came in the community, I had come to Minnesota from the East Coast in 1998 for 2 weeks break. I had no return, only to go visit. I established Minnesota as a... I came, I met the Minnesota politics, the community organization.
So this is this organization of Liberians in Minnesota. So it has been here for a long time.
Yeah, people have it that it started somewhere 1972, 73, originally by a group of Liberian students who came together to organize themselves for the general good of the membership. But as the membership grew larger in 1975, they incorporated the organization of Liberians in Minnesota. And then during the Civil War, when we have an influx of lots of Liberian, it began to expand. It was now only catering to students, to everybody. And then as time go by, we start to progress gradually until 2010. We transition from our structure to a new structure. Before then, we have president, vice president, court of executive officer that we elected. Then we have board of directors that we elected. In 2010, we transitioned to only 4 members being elected. And the executive director and the other executive staff are appointed by the board of directors.
Okay. Wow. So it's not like a recruitment process. The board of directors appoint who serve as an executive staff.
The executive director, the executive director, the program director, and the finance director. Then the executive director can hire his own staff. So I appoint. I'm hired by the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just the story that you have shared is very touching and very inspiring. Even to me, as I just listened to it, 2 things came out very strongly to me. You are a religious person, right? And the whole thing of integrity, I see it resonating across the board as you share your story, your journey. Despite the adversity, the temptation, you still stood by what you think is the right thing to do. Where was that built?
I'm not perfect, and I can't claim to be a perfect person. I'm not the most honest person, but I strive to do my best. When I saw it in Liberia, and then when I came in Guinea, there was 2 different phases of life. It's that you were just taken from one area and put into a totally different environment. You don't know what to do. But unlike my other brothers, they could not even get out of the house. They were in the company. I was the one, in fact, when we got there first when my dad were in the hotel, I was the one that started going around and found one of his friends and were able to get a house to be in.
Mhm.
But they still couldn't come out. I was the only one going out. Because I felt that sooner or later, reality will kick in.
Mhm.
Sooner or later, I have to accept that this is a new life.
Mhm.
Now, my inability to adjust will make it even more difficult for me and will cause consequences. Yes. So I'd rather start to integrate as early as possible and make sure that it's part of it. One of my brothers never integrated until he left. Other people, and they have a bad memory of Guinea. I have a good memory. But again, even when I was a little child, I was very submissive. Every other person in there, we come from an extended family system where you have cousins, uncles,
Sure.
even if the person is older than you, you are still considered
The younger brother or the younger sister, yeah.
So they would tell me, Kamati, go back, just go back. I will always put up a smile. So that have been part of and it's helped me over the years. It helped me to build up this character of me. I try as much to look at the bright side of things. Even if you offend me, I will find an excuse for you because I want to conceptualize that in me. Find a way out. Because it is a heavy burden to carry grudge. It eats you up. It derates your focus. And if you see that person, it infuriates you. Why would you carry that person? Why? You're killing yourself. And I try not to take every disappointment and everything personal. People that offend me, I reach out to you. It's on you to carry that burden. I'm not going to carry it for you.
Just looking at you, you're a very happy person, and
Of course.
and he can tell. You're looking good. I'm very sure most people who maybe most of your age mates are not looking the way you look right now.
I'll be turning 56 this year.
Wow. So there's something about letting it go, and some people say let it go and let God be, but I think when you let it go, you take the pain out of you, because sometimes we give people space in our hearts, space in our minds, and when you're living in a home, you pay rent, but these people, we give them space in our hearts and mind, and they don't pay any rent for it, and it keeps eating us
up,
and they are going about their lives. So
they don't even know.
Letting go, very important, very important. And I can already relate that you already had this passion to serve. You had this passion to make things better. The things that you find that may not look very, very, very good or may not look the best, you have this passion to try and make things look better, not just for you, but for other people in the community. And you found this organization when you came for a visit. Did you ever think that you would be joining this organization or be in the leadership position of this organization someday?
No, I didn't. You see, leadership is the ability and capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by the clear-cut vision and a sense of purpose. And we came to OLM, there was a crisis at the time, and we were part of those people that tried to straighten the crisis. And I supported a lot of other previous OLM leaders, and then our time came around the OLM board, and we were transitioning from a politically charged entity to a service-oriented one. There was a team that was coming in called Team Progress, and we were three other that were not part of the team, but were in the community.
Yeah.
And I was one of the three presidents that was elected with the other group, and I served on the board for 3 terms. And I resigned. I have to go. And they brought me back as a program director.
Mhm.
And I served under the executive director. When she left, they made me the executive director. We had one property, the suite over that I took you to.
Yeah.
And if you come to an organization or entity, you have to maintain what you met and build upon it,
Improve it.
improve it. You can't meet it and break it down. So when we came as an executive director, we were able to add an additional 2 suites on what we met. This building had 5 suites. So we met 1, we added 2 more on it. Today we own 60%
Of the entire
of
property.
the entire property.
So this will be one of the proudest achievements that you've made as an executive director.
One of the proudest achievements that we have made
together,
as a community.
of course, under your leadership.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. One thing which I am very I didn't know about the organization of Liberians in Minnesota. I knew that normally when Africans converge in a foreign place like this, people from the same country will definitely form some kind of a group, or people from the same tribe, form some kind of a meeting that they attend and all that. But I didn't know that the organization of Liberians in Minnesota is huge to this magnitude. Yeah.
We are, as the Newton said, if I saw further than other men, it's because I stood on the shoulder of giants. People that came before me started this foundation. They built. We are only building on the work that they started.
That was started.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's incredible. That's incredible. For some people who may not know about the OLM, how would you explain OLM to people who maybe are not aware of it? I'm sure there are some Liberians in Minnesota who are not aware.
Yeah, rightly so. And that's one of the challenges we have is the rebrand of OLM that we're doing. And we need to be able to reach the greater community. So people will develop and have their own perception. But until they can realize, understand what we do and where we've come from to where we are, okay, that sense of appreciation and pride will kick in.
Sure.
It is a challenge for us to be able to better articulate that and what is visualizing it. But again, that's our challenge. But OLM has evolved over the years from a mere student organization to a community-based nonprofit entity that provide direct services to not only Liberians and African population, but the BARPA communities. So basically, some of the services we provide, we have the workforce development, where we do the healthcare training. Within the last 3 years, OLM was able to acquire grants to identify schools in our community, 3 to 4 schools, to retrain and train people in the healthcare career, short term, like certified nursing assistant, trained medical administrator, among others. And we've done like over 168 students. They had school fees. So, like I was telling you earlier today, when we had the COVID pandemic, we were able to access funding because we know that most of our community members would appreciate our culturally sensitive food than going to the ordinary food shelf. So when we had a grant to do that, we were able to distribute food to our community members, and I'll just give you. So if you look here during the pandemic,
Yes.
this is what we're doing. So these are some of the things we did, giving our people a chance. So these are our cultural sensitive food, a box of rice, palm oil, food in one. But when we did that for a while, we realized that this is not sustaining. We don't know how long the pandemic. There's a saying, you rather teach the man how to fish than feed him fish.
That's true.
So we wrote a proposal. And at that time, most of the industry was shutting down. And one of the few industries that was still viable was the healthcare industry, where majority of our population, our community members, white. So we decided to write a proposal. It was targeted for the Hennepin County. So we're trying to gain access. But we wanted the city of Brooklyn Park to give us support in the process. So we sent a proposal to the city of Brooklyn Park, and the city of Brooklyn Park looked at the proposal and they say it was excellent. What we should do, we should address it to them directly instead of the Hennepin County. And we did. So when we did, they were able to approve us the $117,000 for the first 60 students. And we said that was a pilot project. So we worked with them. So what we did here was, you got a form, you fill it in, you bring a passport picture, you bring an ID card, we identify that you're a resident of Brooklyn Park. And then we talk to Brooklyn Center, the sister city, saying. And then they came in with this. So we had 30 from Brooklyn Park and 60 from Brooklyn Center. That's 90. So, and the program was very successful. So you seeing that the average of each other student making $22 an hour after they graduate. And times down per month is $3,422, $20.
So that's for 80 hours in 2 weeks and times 2.
So then you times that by 12
for a year.
That is $42,000. A person that had no job, had no income or little income, and making that
because of this training.
This training. You times that by
90.
It's $3,801,600.
That is for just 1 year.
Yes, 1 year. And if you add a tax on that, yes, so you got it's $380,000 in taxes for the 117 plus or 57,000 investment. Less than $200,000, you get almost $400,000 in tax return. And then the residents, in turn, better their lives. You put more food on the table. You get more shelter over people. And they have a sense of worth.
You provide service to the elderly, to the needy in the community.
So
this is for state officials generally. And just in case somebody is thinking somewhere that, oh, these people, they have this organization and all they do is ask us to give money to support their projects or to support their initiative. For each program that a city or a state supports, that state stands to benefit perhaps 3 times more than what they gave.
So I tell you this, and you're quite right. So currently, we have running 3 programs. We're running mental health awareness. We're running violence prevention, community violence prevention. We're running that, and then we run our usual senior program. But within the last 3 years, we've lost 16 young people, 12 directly to physical gun violence, and fall to suicide. And in our African community, the issue of mental health is very stigmatic. And like I tell people, we are the trusted messengers for our communities.
Sure.
We live in the community, we understand the challenges, and we know how to navigate it. Now, if you really want to reach to the community and provide the help needed, you have to use the community. You can fund the money or just send money to people on armchair that call themselves experts that would take one or two person from the community and get in a job to do their goal and just remain, and you have a issue. Why don't you directly invest into the community, and then they will be able to get the best of what the funding is for? So OLM will create a hub. Currently we are working on 2 bills. One, I just took you on a tour in one of our rooms.
Yes.
We want to expand the place so that the services that we provide, we can have more people coming. There are so many other people here. We have a huge backlog of students that want to get on the scholarship program. But because they are not from the city of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, we can't allow them. So now we have the Department of Employment and Economic Development. But it became very strenuous, and the process to access funding is so challenging with the red tape bureaucracy. So as a result, the funding can come down to small communities' house. It goes to the huge mega organizations who more or less do not understand the dynamics in the community. So this is the challenge. But luckily, we have few lawmakers that we've been meeting and talking to who are willing to listen to us. Then we have our senior program. Most of our seniors, they don't read or write. They need health education. The only trusted body they have is they come to this community organization because they understand that we are the same. They can easily tell the issue. We can make the necessary referrals to give them the necessary help they need. And that cultural sensitivity that is part of the factor in which accessing healthcare is necessary is not in there when they have to deal with the huge mega organizations. Because they still will come in the community and get interpreter to do the interpreting. So then why don't you have the community help to facilitate the process? So we decided we'll make another proposal to the state and hoping that they will understand and accept it. But most of the time, we just take the same. So there are so many vital help that we provide to our community. So we don't have the necessary funding. But again, there are people that come here, they have the passion. You walk in the office, you pass by the lady out there. She have been volunteering for the last 6 years.
As a volunteer?
As a volunteer. I am a volunteer executive director. I'm now on salary. I get paid based on whatever income we get. So they are months in, months out with them. But if you are driven by a purpose and you are passionate about what you do and you have a clear-cut vision, you inspire others. That inspiration influence people to writing. And that's all we have.
And I believe you're communicating this in so many different ways, but very strongly, because as an organization, you stand in the gap where the state will not reach.
No.
And this is exactly what the state should understand in partnering with community-based organizations like yourself, because you're doing the work that they should do, but you are very aware that at this particular place, you will not be able to get here and touch this life, make that impact that the state is supposed to make to everybody.
The state passed hundreds of millions of dollars that goes to these big organizations
Mhm.
that take a lot of overhead, people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But then those organizations that are in the community that see these things firsthand, that experience and see the challenge and they live it because they are part of the community, that has some cultural sensitivity,
Mhm.
because you are meeting a community of diverse culture.
Sure.
And even in the administration of health,
Mhm.
they will tell you that there are cultural sensitivity. So these are our challenges, but we have not lost hope. We will keep pushing.
Mhm.
We'll try to articulate the issue, and we'll be very passionate about it. And hopefully, it will get to some ears,
Mhm.
and people will understand that too well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. And let me ask you, how about partnering with other community organizations? How has OLM been able to do that? Or do you, like, I know you mentioned that you partner with institutions that can provide these services, tailor these services in to the needs of the students, like some of those students.
So we don't have schools. So when we get the funding, we send everything to the school. Each student, um, they'll pay their tuition,
Mhm.
their resource material, and the stable fee. But we have a contract with the schools. So look, our program should be student focused. We want you to extend the time of training. Our goal is for the student to succeed. So we give you all that you require. All we want at the end of the day, we want a particular student to be able to get in the workforce. And the criteria is to be able to pass the state board. Okay. And even those that might not be able to succeed,
Yeah.
they can work as HHA, home health aid. Okay. And all the students that we send through the doors are all working now. Now we do partners. We do partners with other organizations within our community and outside of our community on certain programs. And we are open to partnership. Okay. Our goal is at the end of the day, as long as our people get the services that they need, we don't care what agency will partner with. Okay. But we are saying if it comes from out there and the community organizations that are with the community that provide those direct services,
Yeah.
if you don't include them in the factor, in the equation, then it wouldn't trickle down to the actual people that need the help and the resources. That's all we're saying.
For the viewers, you can see the great impact that OLM makes in the community. And it's not just to benefit as a particular group of people.
No.
This benefit extends to, like, most of the healthcare facilities that we have around are able to have staff thanks to what you're doing. Most of the healthcare facilities are able to take care of their residents properly thanks to what you're doing. You know, we see a lot of road construction happening here during the summertime. That money, which goes back to the government or to the state, to the city as tax, helps to build that infrastructure. These are community building efforts that organizations like yourself is making.
That's the fact.
And it cannot be ignored in a state like this, Minnesota. So I really, really applaud you for that. And have you been able to encounter some unique challenges that African immigrants face in this state?
The first challenge every immigrant faces in the state is integration. And the very African organization that have the individual different immigrants should be able to create the condition on which those people can easily immigrate and assimilate into the society. You know, before you have when you have the UN, the Lutheran service or facilitating refugees to come here, they have programs, you know, that was set up to help to integrate them. But now I don't think they're doing that at scale, not for our community. So OLM is a research center. We have a program called Service Navigation Assistant. So If you came in here and you have an immigration related issue, we have lawyers, pro bono lawyers, and we have lawyers that all of them have contacted that give discount, will refer you to them. If you came, you want to access help from the city, the state, or the county, we help you fill those applications and we give you the referrals. If you came here for housing, we help you and give you the referrals. If you came here to do your own employment and you don't know how to navigate the system, we have people here help you to do that. If you came here, you want to do the scholarship program, the lady at the front desk will tell you, okay, yeah, this is the criteria, take the test. So on a daily basis, we have people that actually I come here every day in spite of what, So to keep this door open, keep this place running, is challenging. But people walk in here every day for one service or the other. And if you go, we have our roster of the as you sign in, the different services that people come for is listed, how we provide it. And so we are navigators. They got people that Henry to pay and other people pay to do navigation work. We do it for our community for free because we feel that we are the middle between our community, the state, the city, or the county. Most of our people don't read and write. If they can't read and write, how do they navigate a system? So they look at us as the trusted messenger. They look at us as the people they can look forward to for help. And then it becomes frustrating if they come for some of the services that we can provide. And some of the referrals that we make, they might not even be able to access those because they will still need people from here to help them do it. So those are some of the challenges.
Okay. You mentioned about, I know we've already talked about how the work you do goes back to building this community in a way. A lot of people might think that when African immigrants leave Africa and come to the US, some people even go as far as saying, we come to take their jobs. We come to take from Social Security. We come to take what they would have been benefiting, and now we swell up the population. Something that would have gone for 2 people now has to go for 10 people. When I look at especially the Liberian community here in Minnesota, you have African shops that serve this community. You have businesses, entrepreneurs spread all over. And these are people who not only serve the community by you buying food or buying clothes or buying something, or they provide services. These people also pay taxes to building this community. What would be your take for somebody who is still thinking like immigrants come in here and take away our opportunities?
So, first of all, there's a unique relationship between Liberia and the United States. I don't even want to talk about that. Not only do the Liberian people own businesses, so the Liberian people work. So the last time I checked, if I'm not mistaken, let's just look at only Hennepin County alone. Okay, the impact of Liberians on the economy of Hennepin County alone is over $5 billion. Wow! So that includes the taxes they take from us, work, the houses we get, the businesses we own, and all of that. Just Hennepin County alone.
Yeah.
It's over $5 billion. And if I carry statewide, okay, I have to do that statistic. Okay, if I say statewide, because we are at least over 48,000 Liberians in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, if you factor that in, we'd be running over close to $50 billion, or $25 to $50 billion, the impact we have in the economy. Now you ask, what comes back to the community? I think that should be the question. But again, most Liberians in America, including yourself, you can't fly from Africa and come through border. You have to come through the airport.
Sure.
You have to come through visa. You have to have a visa to be entry. You have to be a line entry.
Sure.
If the issue is where they overstay their time, that's a different category.
Yeah.
So, you look at the percentage of us, especially those from West Africa, that are on what you call welfare and that lot. The average African believe in self-determination. The average African understands that you are the breadwinner of your family.
Yep.
It's your responsibility to take care of your family. And you can only take care of your family if you provide for them. And you can only provide for your family if you work. So an average African man would rather want to work and gather the respect from his wife and his children instead of doing the otherwise. I'm not implying that there are not people that will need help. Okay. But an able-bodied African man will not want to live his rest of his life on handouts. He will need a push for some time. But other than that, because there are caveat to those handouts. Okay? The caveat to the handouts, your whole livelihood is exposed to scrutiny. And now many Africans want to be subjected to that.
That's true.
Because of that self-pride. They might do it temporarily to get a boost, but it's not the way of life. For them, it's taking away something that is the pride. So on the average, I don't bother that much because most African men wouldn't want to do that. Okay, those that would just come, they want that boost, but nobody will want to make that the daily livelihood for the rest of the time.
That's true.
Because it takes away a lot from you than they gave to you. What would be average? What African man will want to say, well, I prefer to be on welfare for the next 10 years to be getting at least a $500 check. That man can make $500 in a week. That man can at least can make $500 in 2 weeks. He would rather want to make $500 in 2 weeks and make $1,000 in a month than be subjected to making $500 a month and have his whole life under scrutiny what he can do and what he can do.
What he cannot do. That's true. That's true.
So that's the only thing I can say about that.
And I think it's important that you bring that up because the way the system works sometimes, people say, why would you give money to somebody who you know is dragging down the economy, dragging down the system? I say it is like those most people who are on support, social security support, maybe because they are addicts, maybe because because of felonies, and they now get these stipends from the state and everything. It is taxpayers' monies that is being used to sponsor all these. And most Africans think it like the way you just analyzed it. Why would I be here hoping to get 500 every month when I can work and make 2,000 and make 3,000 and make 4,000 every month? So that system itself of, okay, if you're not capacitated to do this, then the state will come in to do this for you. I think for people who still do that, they should know that they kill their abilities and they don't build on themselves.
You take a lot away from yourself.
Yes. You take a lot away from yourself. One thing I've also noticed with our African families that come here in the United States is the rate of divorce and raising children either as a single father or a single mother. What do you have to say in relation to this aspect?
In the typical African culture, the men raise the boys because you want to instill in them the values your father passed down to you. A typical African man will not want another man to raise his son because he wants the value of his family to be instilled in his son.
By himself.
Yeah. Now, and I too have sons. And there's a lot of sacrifice because I want to be the one to raise my children.
Sure.
It is in the good interest of these children that the African mother, work along with the fathers to have the father involved in the children's lives.
Yeah.
If I was an African mother, or I can advise my African sisters, I would rather the man do not give you a dime to be involved in the children's life than for him to give you 5,000 a month and not involved in the child's life.
Yes.
It also have a psychological impact on those children.
On the children.
And I want you to know. Because a child that grows up without a father figure in the home, that child become a receptor to any bad influence.
That's true.
That child have the potential some are not an expert, but there are chances that self-esteem that a child have with a father. So if I'm taking my son to his game and the other child does not have a father behind, it's his mother. There is a certain time or length in the upbringing of the child that the woman with the male child can have that bonding that the father and the son will have.
Yeah.
It's the same way there's some time in the female's life that the mother and daughter will have that bonding that the daughter and the father wouldn't have.
Not, yeah.
So that is unique. That's why you can be religious, you can come from a scientific point of view of biology. Yeah, while you have both parents, a mother and a father, and each of them plays a unique role in the upbringing of the child. So the absence of one impacts that child upbringing. Most especially if it's a male child and the father figure is absent. That has an even larger impact.
That's
what I can say.
That's awesome. And I just want to say one thing to that effect. I know we're not here to talk about children and society, but it is our responsibility to still talk about it. The society is just like a bystander waiting to step in. The moment you create that vacuum, where either the mother is not there or the father is not there, there is a vacuum that has been created. And today, these children, maybe they spend 4 hours with the parents at home and they have the rest of the time in school or sleeping. That society will step in to fill the vacuum, to fill the gap that the parents don't give to that child. And the way you've said it, there are psychological impacts. There are things that the peer pressure will affect the child in a way that if both parents are in the child's life, it will be a different story.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So I'm very, very happy you brought that up. Now, cultural exchange and cultural integration. And when you speak, you're not just speaking from a perspective of Liberia. Your story itself tells me you have experienced different cultures. You have seen different people living, and I'm sure even when you were in Conakry, you did not only interact with people from Guinea.
I was in Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, and other countries I visited in West Africa.
Talk to me about cultural integration, cultural exchange, given that we find ourselves in a welcoming state like Minnesota.
So, look how I had an invitation to go to the Somalian Cultural Museum. I was very elated about it. I watched the Igbo Fest maybe 2 or 3 times. It struck a sound in my heart. Even the room I just took you to, there is a Liberian organization called Hearts for Kids, where they teach the young Liberian kids about Liberian culture, their dances, the different mask from the different tribal group. Okay, the African clothes and other things. Those things are very important for our culture. We are the best proponent and advocates of our culture. If we do not teach our children, they are born in the society. There are lots of other things in a society. You get the very best and the very worst. And they have to have an exposure to their culture. And to the extent we talk about cultural exchange, yes, they're born in this culture, this society, and there are certain standards. Our culture, our society has another standard. You look at the Asian, what are they from the Far East? Or whether they're from India, or whether they're from the Middle East. They are growing into the culture. They make it their responsibility to teach their children. So we are slacking on that. You know, it is a good thing to integrate. But our culture has certain values.
Don't lose it.
And if we do not teach our children those cultural values, they are missing on a lot of things. Their generation will be the end of our cultural extension. Because we are in this society. And I know very well your father or your uncle, the elder in your village. We have this oral history passed down,
Sure.
the family tradition. It is important for us. It guided us. We brought those values. And those values that we have, when we come into this society, and there are certain things that conflict those values, we'll know we're going to stick to this.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine your child do not have any of those values. They don't know about it. How can they navigate? It is our responsibility to let our children know where they originated from. They may not necessarily be born there, but their parents from there, their grandparents from there, and that is tracing their origin. And it's very important.
Yeah. Sure. We need to hand it down. Sometimes, even as the adults themselves are lacking in those cultures. And if we don't have it ourselves as elders or as adults, it becomes very difficult to hand it down. So if it takes for us to refresh, if it takes for us to talk to the people who still remember so that we can have something to hand down, the better. Yeah. Where do we see OLM from here? What's the future?
Good. OLM, the future of OLM is expansion in every aspect. Okay. So what we came from a mere student organization to a mid-sized community-based organization, our future is to expand in every aspect. Expansion in the services, expansion in our physical structure, integrating our community, and we want to be able to have people at the tables that will advocate for our cause, for the African community, the BIPOC community, the West African community, what have you. So we want to be a hub where we can all come together, have exchange of ideas, how we can better provide the needed services to our community, to empower them, to enrich them, to give them access to the needed services that make their life better. That is the future for all.
Okay. Excellent. And I know that there is an African Development Center. I don't know
ADC.
if you know about ADC.
I know the executive director, Nisibu, is my good friend.
Okay. In terms of uniting Africans in Minnesota, how can Africans unite in Minnesota? We have people from all over Africa here in this state. The reason I asked about ADC is just to see if you know about them, if there's any kind of collaboration that goes on between these African organizations or African oriented or focused organizations, African tribal meeting groups, African country people just gathering maybe every other Saturday or every Saturday of the month to meet. What would you say to Africans who live in Minnesota? Is it possible that we can have one big African come together?
There is definitely a need. And I say this as a need. Put it this way. If it is a stormy rain, I get my own umbrella, I put it on my head, you got your own umbrella, you get your own umbrella. When the wind is heavy, individually, all of our umbrella will take. But if we come together and build a strong one, all of us can stay on that and it will protect all of us. There is actually a need for an African organization. Most often, you have individual people who establish an organization called the African, but it is not the full participation of African. At some point, I say, look, let's get all the African leaders now, because it is essential for 3 reasons. The first reason is giving us a voice as a people. The second reason, having a representation at the table. The third reason is for growth. So let me break it down. If we come together, we have a voice. You go from Washington, D.C. to the state of Minnesota. You see a Latino group. They're strong. They get a national organization, they get a local organization. They advocate the Latino cause. And it has become a national discussion where bills have been passed by presidents. Why? They have a voting power.
That's true.
So whether you're from Mexico, you're from Cuba, you're from all of them come on one.
Yeah.
And they get one voice. That's the voice. They also sit at the tables. They have representatives, that are senators and representatives instantly. The third thing is empowerment and growth. But we have not seen, to conceptualize that part, that touch, and understand the political capital we have collectively as Africans. If we start to conceptualize that and understand that, we will be the force to reckon with. Do you know there are how many African doctors in America? The bulk of them from Nigeria.
Imagine.
Do you know there are how many African engineers working? Do you know there are how many Africans that are citizens? We are very individualistic. But if we collectively put the African cause above all of us, we will individually benefit. But if we put the individual cause before us, we will collectively fail.
That's wrong.
Because as a people, our diversity is embedded in our commonality.
That's true.
There is certainly a need.
I think we'll start it here in Minnesota. I love the passion with which you put it. I don't see anything stopping us from having what will it be called? Maybe an organization of Africans in Minnesota.
I've thought about it.
So this is definitely to all other African leaders of other African associations or organizations or groups. I hope that they're watching. I hope that they're listening to this. I would not put it the way you put it. This is coming from wisdom itself. So please, there is need for us to come together because of our economic power, because of our political power, because of our social powers and social and cultural powers. We need to definitely come together. Now, this is your personal advice to anybody watching this. I don't know if maybe from Africa, maybe from here. The journey from Africa to the United States, you have broken it down in ways that anybody who is watching this cannot leave this place uninspired. What is your personal advice that you will give to an African who probably is still in Africa, thinking of coming here, or an African who has come here, and is still struggling to get themselves integrated, or an African who has been here maybe 10 years, 11 years, and they feel like they are losing it?
So I say that it's quite simple. There's two options. One, there are negative energy and there are positive energy. So learn to self-motivate. Be a person to transmit positive energy everywhere. Transmitting positive energy is whether it's smiling, whether it's talking to people nicely. Because when you do that, you trigger something in people that are around you. They are open to engage. But when you transmit negative energy, you suck the air from the room and you carry a burden that is too heavy for you. And then you become unapproachable. If you cannot be a help to somebody, don't be the one to destroy them. Thirdly, have faith. No matter what your situation and your circumstances is, so long you can breathe, you can move. It could be far worse. There is hope. There is always a hope. Keep that faith.
And there you have it. Where I come from, they say when an elder speaks, you don't have the right to speak on their conclusion. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know that it was scheduled to be like a 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but like I said before, when you are in front of greatness, you let greatness take.
You are very kind. You are very kind.
You let greatness take the floor. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're very kind, my brother.
So huge for us. I'm so honored that we had a moment to talk with you.
I appreciate it.
And I pray everybody who is watching this, by the way, if you're watching this, you're thinking of how to support, just like, just subscribe, and let's spread this word. Let's spread this inspiration around. Thank you so much, Mr. Kamati.
I appreciate it,
and thank you for the work that you do.
I'm humble, sir. Thank you so much for having your platform.
Thank you. Thank you.